All right, everybody. Welcome back to Kleen-Rite Radio. I am Fix It with Phil, and as always, I'm sitting here with my good buddy Marc Tyndale. Today, we have an awesome guest in with us, Brian Hollinger from the Hollinger family Sundance Car Washes. They run 5 very successful locations here in Lancaster, PA, and we are just excited to dive into and pick his brain on what they did to raise their game, how they turned their car wash business into the successful business that it is.
How you doing today, Brian?
Good morning, gentlemen. Doing well. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Before we get too far, I want to, as always, thank Simon Eyes.
Simon Eyes, we appreciate you. Thank you for the sponsorship.
So, Brian, where did it all start? I mean, I think knowing your family, you've been in this, 5 decades?
Just about, yeah.
5 decades-ish. And it's you, your father, your mother, your wife.
That's right.
The whole fam, which is a great family business.
Mm-hmm.
So where were your car washes 50 years ago? We're going to talk about this a little bit. Where were they 20 years ago? Where were they 10 years ago? And where they are now? Because it's kind of the pattern that we're trying to get across in our podcast. So let's start with, where were you for the first 25 years?
Sure. So company started in 1972. My grandfather, Aaron Hollinger, he was a partner with another gentleman in another industry, and then they had an opportunity to buy a car wash in Lancaster. Pretty old, small, rundown, a couple self-serve bays, nothing too exciting, but that was pretty much the scene, I think, in the 70s. And with that, they realized they liked that business model and started to acquire other car washes as they came up for sale around Lancaster County through the 70s and 80s. At that point, they were all just kind of one-off. The car washes were just named the town name, nothing nothing
That's a
branded.
story
The standard.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done that.
So, and it wasn't until my dad got involved in the company in 1985 that he wanted to bring everything under one umbrella, create a brand name that he could tie all the sites together and give customers, the confidence to know that, when they go to one Sundance, hopefully they have the same type of experience, same type of equipment at all sites. Yeah, that consistency. So it took a long time to go through and renovate multiple sites, but that was, in the 90s. That's when the Sundance name officially was applied to different locations, and then.
So you did, not to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
you
sure.
did logo. You went with a color scheme.
That's right.
You standardized your equipment offering, and you standardized your pricing and your packages. So just to be clear,
They branded it.
they branded it.
Yeah, some of those more than others in the 90s. The name, the branding colors for sure. The equipment was, some sites had the same equipment. Other sites had some one-off things that took a little while to kind of filter those things out. So we had the finances to replace those. But that was the long-term plan. And then, so a lot of sites went through a kind of a renovation phase in the 90s. Then that got us, down the road to maybe about 10 years ago. We kind of looked at everything from kind of a fresh perspective. I had the opportunity to travel across the country just for a couple of different things in life, but one thing I was doing was looking at car washes. At that point, express tunnels were coming in all over the country, especially bigger cities like around Salt Lake City. Spent a lot of time out there, just seeing all the new technology, the new building designs, just a lot of fresh takes that we haven't seen in the car wash industry before. So that kind of got me thinking, like, all right, our business model in self-serve and in-bay is a little different, but from the customer's perspective, we're still washing cars. A self-serve and in-bay still gets compared to an express tunnel, whether we like it or not. It's just like grocery stores. You're still going to a store to get food, even though you might have a totally different experience. So I try to take what we kind of observed from express tunnels and stuff, just different things they were doing to kind of up the car wash industry game, and try to bring that back. Some things that maybe we haven't seen in Pennsylvania, before. And in the last couple of years, a lot of those trends have caught on. Just looking at focusing on things for the customer experience, bringing efficiencies with new modern equipment to save on utilities, to cut down on maintenance expenses. We always have maintenance expenses, but if we can make processes a little simpler, it makes a big difference at the end of the year with labor costs.
Yeah, sure does. So walk us back just a little bit on the decision making. Was it you felt like I had to do this to just take it to the next level, or it was just time to do it? Or were you looking for a revenue boost because you saw what the expresses were doing? Because, I know this, that the motoring public, they see all car washes as car washes. They see new car washes as just new car washes. Mm-hmm. They are not as sophisticated to know, hey, that's an express. They know they get on a conveyor. They know it's a little different. But our perspective, probably everybody in this room, is the way to compete is to get your car wash to have that curb appeal and to have that branding, and mm-hmm. you can and will compete if you do that. So, what were the hot things 10 years ago that you guys were thinking, if we do this will be new to the area?
Yeah, like what was your thought process? What got you to the point of saying, like, I need to go around, look at these new sites that are going up?
Were you chasing maintenance a little bit more 10 years ago? And
yeah, so I think a lot of it started with even just my role as kind of the third gen part owner, stepping into that role, just realizing what do I need to do to take the business to the next level for the next generation of owners and staff, but also next generation of customers. Seeing that app-based technology is huge in every industry, thanks to big companies like Amazon and such. But often even just think about our app. That's something that we developed a number of years ago as part of this rebranding, giving customers more ways to make purchases, try to streamline certain processes. And that was huge that we rolled that out a year or so before COVID, and the app exploded in 2020 because people didn't want to touch our pay systems. They wanted just to scan their phone out their window, and so for in-bay customers that was massive, and that really kind of was a launching pad, realizing like we need to keep going with this because there's a lot of demand, and especially post-COVID. Any business has drive-throughs and apps, those industries are really booming. So we just need to be on that. To get back to your question, Mark, about like kind of what initially kind of started the process, I ask myself frequently, even to this day, is like what can we do to make this better? How can we make this better from the customer experience perspective? From that perspective, it's like, all right, what can we do that makes their process of purchasing and getting their car washed maybe faster, more efficient, more enjoyable? What can we do to like take any little bit of friction out of that process and make it maybe a little more pleasant than they were initially expecting? And then also just talking to people, whether it's talking to staff, getting feedback on like, all right, what are the kind of common reoccurring customer complaints that you're getting, and what can we do to fix those things? Or just talking to the customer, like, hey, what was your experience like? What if we would do this? Would that make your experience better or worse? And just using some of those feedbacks, perspectives on what to address.
So we talked about the phone. Obviously, I do the phone apps. Mm-hmm. Phil does the phone apps. Even though the top 20% car washers are on top of it with the phone apps, I mean, there is that next gear, right? And it's going to be probably 10 years from now where there's no coin box in the bay, or there's no pace teller in front of the automatic,
or it's just completely cashless.
I mean, I see that going that way. I know Ford just got a patent.
Yep.
And you're literally going to be able to use your Apple Pay right through your radio in your car. So the other industries are ready for it, like Taco Bell or the fast food industry. Mm-hmm. Is the car wash industry going to be another 10 years behind? on that like we have been on almost everything else. I guess.
I don't know. For me, I think, guys like Brian who are constantly trying to innovate and be ahead of the curve, this new generation of car wash guys are not scared of taking that leap, right? They're
Agreed.
doing the assessment and saying, look, I can make the customer experience better and we can generate more revenue by making this easier on them. It's worth the investment to do this. I don't know. What's your take on that? Do you think that we're going to be that far behind on this technology again? Or do you think that the industry is going to push?
Yeah, no, I think it's challenging. I think there's some things the car wash industry is spot on, and honestly, thanks to the express, tunnels. Those guys, they push harder with new implementing new
They know their
technology.
business. They're analytical.
Yeah.
They know their business.
Yeah, and I think we get the benefit from that. The industry gets the benefit from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like they helped us change what we're doing.
Help most of us or some of us change what we're doing.
Yeah.
So do you see 2 years from now everybody being quarterless? I mean, if you're not quarterless already.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's something that our company's been working through. So we remodeled a site in 23. We still take quarters. We just don't give them out. We don't provide change machines.
That's a first step.
Yeah, that's because
Tear that
like
tear
that.
Band-Aid off, Ed and Brian. Tear it off.
That's a good way to
so
filter that out.
And in place of change machines, we're putting bill breakers in. So we want people to start putting in 1s, 5s, 10s. I
20s.
Someone once told me, like, you don't want to limit the ways that a customer can pay for the services you offer. Now, going from quarters to cash, I don't feel like that's limiting people. I think that's just helping them be more efficient. Honestly,
You're making it easier by taking the quarters away because
right.
they don't have quarters
Right.
most of the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure, at least our town, not sure if we're quite ready yet to go fully cashless. We still have, it varies because we've got multiple sites around Lancaster County. Some of our sites are probably 70, 80% card-based payments. Other sites, it's the other side. I mean, it's 30, 40%, and it's just every town is a little bit different culture. And so for us to do one thing that affects the different cultures that we serve within our county.
Let me ask you a question. Are those other sites, have you done the same thing that you did to the other three?
Yeah.
You've done all the upgrades, you've done the building, you've done everything. You offer them, because you guys offer a full line of services. So
it's interesting going from eastern part of the county to the western side. There's different spending habits. It's different culture. Eastern Lancaster County, much more conservative based, more conservative Mennonite foundation there. Just different ways of spending money versus sites around the city who has much stronger Hispanic population. So just different spending habits, different cultures. So we want to be sensitive to the people that we serve and not cut off certain folks that have certain spending habits.
We see that in some other migrant communities where they don't want to get rid of quarters because there's not a lot of cards.
But it's a very interesting perspective to still take quarters, know that you are like working towards trying to get rid of them. So instead of not taking them anymore, just not offering to supply them. Right?
That's right.
It's a great way to lead your customers to what you want them to do.
Well, and I know in my experience, we were just supplying them to the laundry mat that was down the road of any site. So
or the Dunkin' Donuts manager. We get that problem pretty frequently.
Dunkin' Donuts manager. So.
Yeah, we talked to him. He's like, "Hey, the bank's not open at 5 a.m." It's like, well, you should just plan better. So.
Yeah.
Well, and our other problem was that the bank didn't want the coins. So during COVID, they were like, we can't take them. So we were stuck with them, and that was a big problem. It made it easy for us, but
yeah, we had a different experience. Our bank likes our money, so They don't seem to care what form it comes in.
Most of them do like your money.
Well, banks though are the same way. You see a lot of them going, and I don't want to get off but they're going to less tellers, less people. Taking 10 bags of $2,000 bag of coin is a problem for them.
Sure,
they don't want it. They don't want to handle it. If they're being nice to you for now until the next manager or the next VP gets in there, and that's kind of what happened to us. So.
I just want to hit, before we go too far, you said that you had done a lot of traveling, a lot of
we call it market research, really.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of market research on the different expresses across the nation. And I'm curious to what you took away from the experience the customer got or the experience that you got, and what keynotes you picked up, like curb appeal wise, so on and so forth, to what you thought was really drawing customers in.
Yeah, sure. You hit on the first one, the curb appeal. A lot of new expresses put a lot of money into building design. It's unique. It's extremely branded. It's kind of one-off experience. So we looked at that, and I don't like to follow. I like to do my own thing. So knowing that was one area we wanted to focus in, we worked with a local architect, came up with a one-off building design that kind of had more of an industrial kind of feel, because that's my personal preference, but also it's one of those things that people know, like it has a purpose. There's a machine that washes your car, and this is the building that houses that machine. And so we wanted something that kind of just stood out from other sites.
It wasn't an
around the
old
county.
tin building with holes in it and brown.
Which
is what we see when we look at pictures.
Flat roofs,
we
had a few of those a few decades ago. But yeah, nowadays buildings are taller. Customers often ask, like, what's in the second floor, because we have a pretty high area over our in-bay automatics, and we tell them honestly it's for curb appeal. You get just a bigger presence. Honestly, it's for serviceability. We have heated troughs that go through the attic. All the supply lines drop down into each wash bay. That way, our service team has 6-foot clearance. They can walk through the attic without having to crawl through trusses and stuff. And so it has a functional purpose for us inside, and the outside is for that curb appeal. The other thing we looked at, things that I just took from traveling, is just the customer experience. We all have to wash cars. That's the standard. You have to do that well. You need decent equipment. You need good chemicals, and they need to be maintained. Your equipment's got to be maintained well. But beyond that, that's what kind of sets you apart from other people. So LED light shows, intentional, fragrances that just evoke, kind of like nostalgia or memories. We have one great customer. He's with us for many years. He loves bringing his grandchildren in to the car wash. He's got a newer truck with a glass roof, and so loves the light shows. He turns on like one of the songs from Willy Wonka, and he got the bubblegum fragrance, from our soaps, and he's like, it's just this
way to do
nostalgia experience, and he loves taking his grandkids along for that ride to share those memories. And he's one of our biggest fans. He's an awesome guy. He's the guy that reaches out, sends me a random text like, "Hey, thanks for just providing a great service. Your staff are friendly. My truck's always clean. Like, I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate it."
Yeah.
And those are the moments that like get you through the tough days. A lot of times, especially in my role, when I hear from customers, it's all the hard negative things that went beyond the standard layer of customer service, and they escalate to they need a manager or owner to get involved in whatever's going on. So it's really refreshing when someone goes above and beyond and makes sure they're letting you know like how much they appreciate what you're doing, and that kind of gives you the fuel to get through the tough days.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, okay, so you made the moves you had to do, and I know I copied my light shows from you guys, and it worked out. People will say to us here at Kleen-Rite all the time, "Oh, that seems expensive." Not when you see what it does, right? Mm-hmm. When you you can't just put a light show in an old brown building and expect it to. You have to do a little bit more, right? But it does work. It's an expense. It's part of your curb appeal that you need to do to compete. But if we back up, when you guys made your I would say your big move with the new architecture and the new equipment and everything, were you looking for like a 10% bump in your sales or 20% bump or 2x, 3x? What was the effect of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first one we did, I think that was 2018, I believe, was the first one. And I'd say that was kind of one of the smaller renovations. We didn't really know. We were a little conservative on how much we spent, just because we didn't know what to expect. It was the first time we're doing a full rebranding, renovating an existing building, just kind of a whole new facade and then all new equipment inside. We were pleasantly surprised. That's probably the biggest thing we learned, is that site had 5 self-serve bays and 1 in-bay automatic. We kept that same format, just put all new equipment in there, refreshed the whole site. The thing that we didn't realize is that when you put something in that's cleans cars really well, better than the old equipment ever did, you get a lot of new customers, and the word of mouth just spread like fire. That site, we have lines to the road almost every day for the in-bay.
I think you should have put that other in-bay in?
Oh, we should have put 2 or 3 in there. But we didn't know. Hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
And so when it came time to do the next site, we did the next one a couple years later. We put 2 in-bays in. Again, we were a little conservative. We know we wanted more than 1, but weren't sure if the community was ready for 3 or 4 in-bays. We just didn't know what the community would support. So we did another one a few years later. Did 2 in-bays, removed one of the self-serve bays, made it into an in-bay instead. Now there's just 2 long lines all day there. So it's interesting. We're washing more cars than we ever did. It brought in customers that we didn't have before.
And your newest one has 3.
Newest one has 3, yeah. And so we'll see what next year holds.
Bigger each time.
Yeah.
Bigger each time.
But it goes back to, we talk about the kind of the post-COVID, all these, you look at the food industry, a lot of these new models, they're going like really heavy on the drive-through, and they're cutting out dining rooms. So apply that to the car wash industry, what we do, it's like maybe there's fewer people. You still need to have self-serve bays so the guys want to hand wash their car, but maybe you don't need like 5 or 7 of those. Maybe you just need 2 or 3 or 4. But get some more in-bay automatics, because that's what the next generation is used to, like getting either groceries delivered or going through drive-thrus to pick up things. There's less hands-on interaction in this next generation than what we've seen in years past. So giving people the ability to go through in-bays. The biggest issue that I saw, like when I was back looking at express tunnels and just what the industry is doing, they're fast. In-bays are generally not fast compared to them. However, we can combat that by putting multiple in-bays on a site. 2, 3, maybe 4. Mark and I have a few sites has 4 in-bays, and it's like those are the things we can do to give the customer the same experience as an express. They pull up, just choose the shortest line, it gets them through pretty quickly. And then also we're open 24 hours, so that's the other edge that we have when we're stacked up against an express.
The other edge you have that I have is you can go touch free or soft touch.
That's right.
So the touch frees actually, because there are so many expresses, our touch frees are actually up a little bit. Our soft touches are down a little bit. So as long as you have, I don't care which one's up or down, as long as you have both.
That's right. Yeah, that's another thing we did back when we started rebranding all the sites. We wanted to add new services, things that we have never done before. And part of that was finding an equipment supplier that would allow us to offer both options. We wanted to offer a couple tiers of touch-free washes and a couple tiers of touch or of soft brush washes, and it's something that not a lot of companies do it. Not a lot of companies do it well, and so that's part of like traveling around, looking at different sites, going to trade shows, seeing what equipment manufacturers could really do both well with the same piece of equipment. So building a combo machine.
I think you made a really good choice.
Yeah, we had some good people helping us along the way.
Little plug.
But it's one of those things that when I personally have hobbies, cycling and boating and stuff. So like my vehicles have racks and stuff on it, and so like a brush wash is not always the best fit for a lot of vehicles like
Right.
that. But touch free is fine. So I want to be able to offer something that, looking at express washes, like maybe they can turn off certain brushes or something where those kind of vehicles go through, but you have to have people there to push those buttons and make that happen.
Yeah.
Everything we did has to be able to function 24 hours a day without the direct input from staff on site. And so yeah, just being able to offer something for all preferences, whether it's a friction or touch free.
I love what you said about because I experienced this myself. Add an extra in bay, make your equipment room a little bit bigger, maybe lose just one self-serve bay. I mean, I still think that there's a lot of runway for the self-serve bays if we do it right, and if we aren't afraid to charge what you should be charging for a self-serve bay. The great thing about the self-serve business, and we didn't touch on it today, is that 20-30% of those people fell out of the market because Expresses bought them, or they just closed up and became something else. And, it's a supply and demand thing. So the less self-serve bays, the good operators that have great self-serve bays, even if you're charging a premium, there's a ton of runway for self-serve bays.
Yeah.
Just to bolt on to your 3 or 4 or 7 in-bays that you have.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the other thing we didn't, like you said, we didn't touch on a whole lot. As far as our self-serve bays, part of this rebranding process was just, in self-serve, it's about selling time. But in order for people to spend more time, they have to have a good experience. They have to enjoy what
How many functions do you have in your self-serve?
we have 12 position
Nice.
rotary switches at all the sites. So adding some extra waxes, a couple different types of fun soaps and stuff that just add more options for people. And it's fun, especially in the summer. We're getting to the end of the school year. One of the most enjoyable things I see is like a parent coming to the car wash, letting little Jimmy spray triple foam all over the car.
Yeah.
And they're spending 20 minutes in there just spraying pink foam.
Go, yep. Jimmy, go.
But it's awesome. I love seeing like, the dads pass on the next, to the next generation of like.
This is how you wash your car.
Washing the car, and it's fun seeing that. So. Not just from a money standpoint, but just from like parents spending time with their family. It's a fun thing to see that they trust the car wash enough to have that experience there. And so just seeing those things kind of get me thinking like, all right, is there anything else we could add that would make this more fun, exciting? I don't have a specific list in mind, but those are things when I just observe a lot and just try to always ask the question like, how can we make this a little better, whether it's from like the customer experience perspective or equipment efficiencies as far as saving on utilities or saving labor. And the other thing that, one of the things I picked up many years ago, I'm not sure where I even got it from. It's not mine, so you can't quote me on it. But one thing we try to do a lot is just continuous incremental improvements. So like everything we do, just try to take it up a little notch every once in a while.
Just keep moving forward.
So you guys completely redid your sites, rebranded everything, new equipment, the whole 9 yards, but every day you're still asking yourself, how can I do this better?
Absolutely.
Right? You're still constantly assessing your process and saying, how can we do maintenance better? How can we provide the customer with an even better experience than what we're giving them now?
And it works.
Right.
And speaking of what works, I had a great time today. I mean, we got to cut this one off a little bit here. And, Brian, you made this better today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We really needed this. America needed to hear, like, from somebody other than Phil and I all the time.
Yeah.
But we appreciate it. I mean, you do a great job, and we wish that...
Truly part of the 20%.
Yeah, definitely top of the 20%. So thanks again, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you being here. And thank you, Simon Eyes, for the sponsorship. And we will see you guys on the next one.